The story begins in a Canadian city after dark. Catherine Weaver stands nervously at her apartment window, speaking with the police. She tells them her former husband, Mike Weaver, who once mistreated her, has been stalking her. For several nights, the same car has been parked outside her building, and she is convinced it belongs to him. However, when the officers ask whether she actually saw his face, she confesses she didn't. It's only a strong feeling. With no solid evidence, the police dismiss her concerns. Her teenage son, Cameron Weaver, wakes up and notices how terrified his mother looks. Understanding that no one is coming to protect them, Catherine decides they cannot remain there any longer. That very night, she hurriedly gathers their belongings and leaves the city with Cameron. They head toward a remote rural area, far away from everyone, hoping Mike will never track them down. Catherine and Mike have been apart for years, and since then she has constantly relocated. Now 15, Cameron is exhausted from this unstable lifestyle. He doesn't resent his father the way Catherine does and sometimes believes she may be overreacting. The following morning, Catherine scolds Cameron for being on social media, fearing it could reveal their whereabouts. She cares deeply for him, yet her anxiety about Mike never truly fades. They check into a motel, and afterward, Catherine shows Cameron a house she plans to rent. It's located in a small, peaceful town called Wolf Hollow, quiet, secluded, and surrounded by nature. Cameron doesn't protest, though he wishes he could build friendship somewhere. At a nearby diner, they meet Ken Armstrong, a warm and approachable real estate agent. He seems kind, but Cameron keeps his distance, uneasy about Ken getting too close to his mother. Later, Ken brings them to the property. The house is old but well maintained, and Catherine immediately feels drawn to it. While looking around, Cameron notices the basement door is locked. Ken says he keeps it secured because of wild animals nearby that might wander in and cause damage. He also adds that the attic has been closed off. Inside one of the rooms, Cameron finds a jar filled with marbles. When he steps back into the hallway, he sees that the basement door is suddenly open. Curious, he heads downstairs. The space is dim and cluttered with old belongings, and he feels as if someone softly whispers his name, Cameron. Moments later, he loses his footing and falls. Hearing the crash, Catherine and Ken hurry down, but Cameron assures them he's okay. He claims he simply tripped. Catherine decides to rent the house. Later that evening, she tells Cameron that Ken's assistant recently quit, and she might even find work here. She knows he's tired of constantly moving, so she promises this time will be different. After she leaves his room, Cameron quietly stares at a framed picture that includes his father's contact number. He hasn't called him. The next day at school, Cameron feels like he doesn't belong. When he returns home, Catherine has gone out for groceries, so he heads back to the basement to look around. There, he meets Art and Claire, a local man clearing out old items. Something about him feels slightly off, but he asks Cameron to help carry boxes outside. Cameron agrees. When Cameron asks who previously lived there, Art replies that it was just a boy, offering no further details. Catherine arrives as Art finishes loading his truck and drives away. That night during dinner, she asks Cameron whether he made any friends. Frustrated, Cameron responds, "Why bother making friends when we're going to leave again anyway?" Catherine attempts to comfort him and mentions that Ken has offered her a job. Hearing this makes Cameron even angrier. He dislikes the idea of Ken becoming close to his mother and storms away from the table. While working on homework, Cameron hears unusual noises. Looking toward the barn, he thinks he sees someone standing at the window, watching him. Panic sets in as a whisper calls his name and dogs begin barking, but then everything abruptly falls silent. He chooses not to mention it to Catherine. The next day at school, a bully named Cody and his friends try to intimidate him. They say the house he moved into is haunted and claim that dogs once attacked the former owner. According to them, the property is cursed. Cameron realizes there's a strange story connected to the place. After school, he checks the barn, but it's empty. Later, alone in the basement, he discovers old boxes and paperwork. As he reaches for some documents, he suddenly sees dogs barking at him. He rushes upstairs and slams the door. After a while, the barking stops. He convinces himself it couldn't have been real. That night, he asks his mother about the house's past, but she has no information. He lies and says it's for a school assignment, and Catherine suggests he speak with someone named Sinclair. After dinner, Cameron searches online for any records tied to the property, but he finds nothing. Around midnight, he wakes to see a boy standing in his room. Terrified, he screams. Catherine runs in, yet the boy disappears, and she assumes Cameron only had a nightmare. Cameron develops a fever and stays home while Catherine goes to work. As he rests, the same boy appears again, but this time Cameron isn't afraid. The spirit introduces himself as Jackie, a child who once lived in the house years earlier. Cameron insists ghosts aren't real, but Jackie explains that after his mother left, his father brought in dogs to guard the house from dangerous people. Jackie talks in an odd and emotional way. Just as Cameron is about to question him further, his phone starts ringing, and Jackie suddenly disappears. Determined to uncover the truth, Cameron goes to visit their neighbor, Sinclair. Sinclair isn't there, so Cameron looks around and discovers old photographs of Jackie with his parents. When Sinclair unexpectedly comes back, Cameron quickly sneaks away. On his walk home, he spots Jackie again standing in the cornfield and angrily tells him to stay away. Out of nowhere, 2 dogs show up and begin chasing him. Cameron sprints back to the house, slams the door shut, and tells Catherine the dogs tried to break in. But when she opens the door, there's nothing outside, leaving both of them puzzled. The following day at school, Cameron questions another student about the house and the dark rumors surrounding it, trying to understand what truly happened there. Ben explains that the previous owner, Frank McTavish, was said to have been attacked by his own dogs. Cody's grandmother also claimed that Frank hurt his wife and daughter. A serious investigation took place, but no charges were proven. Many believed Cody's grandmother had become unstable, so she was placed in a psychiatric facility for some time. She now stays in a nursing home. While they are talking, Cody suddenly shows up and begins punching Ben. Cameron jumps in to defend him, fights back, and ends up breaking Cody's nose. Other students record the fight, and both boys are suspended. When Catherine learns what happened, she is heartbroken. They have been trying to remain unnoticed, and she fears this incident might draw attention to them. She also begins to worry that Cameron could be turning into his father. Back at home, Cameron sees Jackie's spirit once more. This time, he isn't afraid. Through Jackie's words and disturbing visions, he discovers that Frank was violent and abused Jackie's mother. Jackie still carries guilt over what happened. Suddenly, Catherine hears strange sounds coming from Cameron's room. She rushes inside and finds him harming himself while trapped in one of Jackie's visions. She pulls him away and holds him tightly as he collapses in tears. The next morning, Catherine apologizes to him. When Cameron asks if she thinks he's losing control, she assures him that he simply needs support. She tells him Ken suggested a skilled therapist and wants Cameron to meet him. Hearing this, Cameron becomes furious. He hates that she discussed his personal struggles with Ken. In anger, he yells that she always spoke badly about his father, but maybe she is the real problem, and he wishes his dad would find him and take him away. Catherine is deeply wounded by his words and feels helpless about what to do. That night, Cameron experiences another terrifying dream. The next morning, he decides to call his father, but before dialing, he hears Jackie's voice calling him from outside. He follows the voice into the forest, walks through an open clearing, and arrives at an old cottage filled with forgotten belongings. Suddenly, Sinclair appears there. Upset, he tells Cameron he has no right to be there and reminds him that he also trespassed into his house earlier. Cameron ignores the warning and asks about Jackie. Sinclair is stunned that Cameron knows that name. From their conversation, it becomes clear that Sinclair and Jackie were close friends as children, but Sinclair refuses to reveal more, saying some truths are better left buried. Cameron leaves feeling frustrated. The next day, while he and Catherine are eating at a restaurant, Cameron tells her what Cody's grandmother revealed. He explains that Frank McTavish, who once owned the house, supposedly hurt his wife, her lover, and even his own son Jackie, and may have hidden their bodies on the property. Nothing was ever proven, but the rumors still exist. Catherine grows uneasy and tells Cameron to stop dwelling on such stories. This only makes him more upset because he feels she never truly listens to him. That night, Cameron has another disturbing dream. He sees bodies concealed in the attic, including one that resembles his mother. He also sees his father. Startled, he wakes up, convinced the dream means something important. The next day, he skips school and secretly goes to the nursing home to visit Mrs. Murphy. He quietly slips inside and enters her room, pretending to be Cody's friend. She allows him in, and he asks her about Frank. Inside her room, Cameron notices a photograph of a man, the same man he saw dead in his dream. Mrs. Murphy reveals that the man is her brother, Matthew, who had a relationship with Frank's wife. She firmly believes Frank killed him, but no one trusted her claims, and over time she began to lose her mental stability. Cameron tells her he believes her, which shocks her because she doesn't understand how he knows so much. Suddenly, Mrs. Murphy starts screaming that they are all gone. Her caretaker rushes into the room, and Cameron runs away in fear. When he arrives home, Catherine is already angry because the school informed her he never showed up. She confronts him, but before the argument can continue, someone knocks on the door. A police officer shows up regarding Cameron's visit to Mrs. Murphy. No charges are being filed, but Cameron is required to give an explanation. He speaks honestly. He says he was searching for details about Frank, who was rumored to have hurt his wife and Matthew. He also confesses that he thinks the bodies are hidden in the attic because he saw them in a dream, and that Jackie has been trying to show him the same truth. Catherine grows even more disturbed after hearing this. She reprimands Cameron, and in the middle of their heated exchange, Ken arrives. Cameron argues that if no one trusts him, they should simply inspect the attic. Ken supports the idea, believing it could ease Cameron's fears. The officer agrees. She climbs up first and finds nothing at all. Then Cameron checks for himself, but the attic remains completely empty. Cameron starts to panic, refusing to believe it, and Ken attempts to calm him down. After the officer leaves, Catherine decides Cameron will stay home for a few days. Cameron then confesses there was never any school project, which only confuses her more. The following morning, Cameron wakes up and sees that Ken is already at the house. Catherine has left for work, and Ken prepares breakfast. Feeling ashamed about the previous night, Cameron apologizes, and the tension between them eases. He chooses to trust Ken and shows him the sketches he discovered in the basement, explaining that he can see Jackie's ghost and believes the drawings are messages from him. Ken listens carefully and wants to support him, but he still informs Catherine because he thinks Cameron needs professional help. When Cameron finds out, he feels hurt and betrayed, especially since he suspects Ken and his mother are becoming closer. Upset, he retreats to his room and finally calls his father. Mike sounds excited and says he wants to see him. When Cameron asks if he has been following them, Mike denies it and blames Catherine, claiming she kept Cameron away from him. Before Cameron can respond further, Catherine walks in. She asks who he was speaking to, and he lies, answering, "No one." Later, when Jackie appears again, Cameron angrily demands the full truth. Jackie reveals that his father found out about his mother's affair with Matthew, murdered her, and buried her in the barn. To silence Jackie, Frank warned him that if people discovered he was living without a mother, they would take him away. That's why the dogs were kept, to drive away outsiders. Jackie says he told Art Sinclair everything, and Sinclair promised to keep it secret. "This is all my fault," he says. But before he can continue, Catherine enters the room. Soon after, Cameron sees a vision of Frank pointing a gun at his wife and forcing her to write a letter. That evening, watching Ken and his mother together makes Cameron uneasy. He goes to the barn and calls his father. When Ken comes looking for him, Cameron quickly ends the call, but not before saying Ken's name, which makes Mike suspect Ken is Catherine's new partner. Mike sounds calm, but his motives are not pure. Ken overhears part of the conversation but ignores it, simply advising Cameron not to stay in the barn for too long. Once Ken leaves, Jackie appears again, and Cameron asks why he blames himself. Jackie finally explains that his father had forbidden him from seeing Art Sinclair, yet he disobeyed. As punishment, Frank tried to frighten him with the dogs. Then Frank slipped on the stairs and fell, and the dogs attacked him. He called out for Jackie's help, but Jackie was too weak to act. He ran inside, and the dogs followed him into the house. To protect himself, Jackie hid inside a trunk in the attic while the dogs killed Frank. That is why Jackie carries the guilt. Later, both Ken and Catherine apologize to Cameron. Ken even says that if Cameron doesn't want him around, he will leave. But by this point, Ken has fully committed to their relationship. That night, while studying, Cameron senses movement near the barn. He informs Catherine and Ken. Catherine assumes it's just his imagination, but Ken suggests they check. They search the barn thoroughly, yet find no one there. The next day, Cameron confronts Cody and warns him to stay away from their house, believing Cody is responsible for the frightening incidents. Later, Cameron calls Mike and tells him he will not contact him again because he promised his mother he would stop lying. Mike doesn't like hearing that but remains silent. After the call ends, we see videos of Cody and Cameron fighting stored on Mike's phone. Someone uploaded them online. Now Mike has figured out where they are. That evening, Ken is supposed to pick Cameron up from school, but he never shows up. After some time, a car pulls in, but it isn't Ken. It's Mike, Cameron's father. Shocked, Cameron asks why he is there and where Ken is. Mike tells him not to be concerned. When Cameron tries to call Ken, he realizes Mike has Ken's phone as well. Cameron immediately senses that something is terribly wrong, and Mike harshly commands him to get into the car. Terrified, Cameron asks where his mother is. Mike has already kidnapped Catherine, and Ken lies unconscious inside the trunk. At that moment, Cameron fully realizes how dangerous his father truly is and finally understands why his mother tried so hard to keep them apart. He also figures out that it was Mike in the barn that night. Now Mike talks about eliminating Catherine and taking Cameron away with him, but Cameron seizes a brief opportunity to break free and sprints into the forest. Mike runs after him without hesitation. Desperate, Cameron pleads for Jackie to guide him, and Jackie tells him to keep following. Soon, Cameron hears the sound of dogs getting closer. Mike catches up to him, and when Cameron resists, Mike pulls out a gun and points it at him, claiming that he belongs with his father. Out of nowhere, a pack of aggressive hunting dogs, just like the ones Frank once had, suddenly appear and attack Mike, viciously tearing into him. Cameron flees in terror and crashes into Art Sinclair. Shaking and in tears, he holds onto Sinclair, who gently tries to calm him down. The scene then moves back to the house, where police officers have arrived and now understand everything Mike has done. Art Sinclair is present as well. The officer admits she doesn't know what attacked Mike. She suggests it might have been wolves, but since none have been spotted in the area for years, she cannot be certain. Art then begins speaking about Jackie. He reveals that there is another body buried outside, one he personally laid to rest, and it belongs to Jackie. Art explains that he once believed Jackie's mother had simply left. He always knew Jackie's father was a cruel man. Jackie had arranged to meet him one day, but he never showed up. After Frank died, Art assumed Jackie's mother had taken him away, but that assumption was wrong. 10 years earlier, a powerful storm struck the region. When Art went to check on Jackie's home, he discovered Jackie's body locked inside a trunk in the attic. On the day the dogs attacked Frank, Jackie had hidden in that trunk and accidentally trapped himself inside. He was unable to escape and eventually died there. Overcome with guilt, Art says he should have contacted the authorities, but since no one was looking for Jackie or even remembered him, he buried the body in a place Jackie loved. He also confesses that he saw Frank kill his wife and Matthew. The officer responds that without physical evidence, they cannot confirm it. Cameron tells them the bodies are buried in the barn because Jackie told him so. At first, Catherine struggles to believe him, but Cameron firmly insists he is telling the truth. The police search the barn and uncover the bodies. Maybe all Jackie ever wanted was for the truth about his father to be revealed. He had been a trapped soul, waiting all this time to be set free. In the final scene, the family stands together at Jackie's grave, and the story comes to an end.